Guys, it's Friday with medium Nancy Matz, and we're going to be continuing our discussion about how to talk to ghosts. And last week we covered the basics, but this week we're going to get more meaty in how to talk to negative entities and other types of ghosts. So check in about 5 minutes and we'll be rolling. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. Friday. Casual Friday. Let me push my buttons here. Okay. Welcome. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour, and this is California Haunts Radio. I am also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state of California, which means if you have a paranormal need, we can get to you. It might take us some time. Hang on, let me adjust the wire. Okay. It might take us some time to get to you, but we will get to you. We also have branches, affiliates in Oregon, Washington, Nevada, and Hawaii. So we can help you there as well. Now, you need to get a hold of us. Check out our Facebook pages. We have several, plus my personal page on Facebook. Not to mention TikTok. You can find us at California Haunts, all lowercase. Over there at Twitter, you can find us at Cal Haunts. Cal Haunts. And you can also find me on Instagram at Ghosty Gal. That being said, if you're watching tonight and you're watching from Facebook and you like what you hear, you like what Nancy and I are talking about or whatever, please hit that like button and hit that follow button because we're always looking for followers. And if you are watching from YouTube and you like what you hear and you like what Nancy and I have to say, please hit that subscribe button. It's the little ghost at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and they'll subscribe to all our videos. We have more than 450 videos over there, and and I think you'll see something that you like. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. Anyway, Nancy was just in the green room, and Nancy was out of the green room, so she may be having trouble with the internet. I see my internet is doing weird things tonight, so let me check and see what's going on with Nancy. I don't know. See, let me go. What's up? Hang on a second. Could be one of those nights because I do see my internet notice coming up. So again, I am on Xfinity, and everybody in this neighborhood is on Xfinity. So everyone's off tonight. So who knows? Only the shadow knows. I see Maurice is with us in the chat room, and Susan, hello, and Nancy. Hopefully, okay, Nancy's coming back in. Anyway, tonight, what we're going to talk about, we're going to kind of continue our conversation from last Friday, where we were talking about what do you say when you see a ghost? You know, I know people that have seen ghosts, and it happens so quickly usually that they just are speechless, absolutely speechless. And then the moment goes and passes, and then you think, oh God, I should have said this, I should have said that. Well, that's what we're talking about, and we talked about that a little bit last week. So we're going to continue that conversation, but we're going to get more meat and potatoes with this conversation. And you know what happens when you come across a negative ghost, a spirit, ghost, whatever that's negative. How do you handle that? How do you talk to them? So we're going to get more into that kind of thing. But I hope you guys all enjoyed your turkey or your ham or whatever it was you ate yesterday. I know people that had pizza yesterday. Stuffed pizza, but pizza, right? Stuffed, just like the turkey. So I know people that had that yesterday. And now we're really like in the holiday season, right? I went shopping today. I went shopping on Black Friday. Whew. It wasn't that bad, though. I thought it was going to be suicidal. Went to Walmart. Hardly anybody's there. I can honestly say that. So it wasn't as bad. I think everybody must have gone early today because I was expecting a nightmare. I was. But anyhow, without further ado, let me get Nancy in here and we can start chit-chatting away. And hang on a second. All right. We'll get Nancy in here and start chit-chatting away. Here we go. And away we go. Hello. Uh-oh, no audio. Okay, hang on.
You should hear me now.
There you go. I got you. I can hear you now.
This side, what's happening over here that it's so dark? Well, okay.
Oh, you must have company.
Oh, do you see that big black blob?
What is standing over there?
There, It's yeah, he's that's the big boy. And then I have a little lightweight. He's about twice as big as the other one, and he's more aggressive. He'll join me wherever I'm sitting. So just as I was ready to start, I had plugged in one of the lights, and I had moved the cord, and I plugged it in on the bar that I have with the computer, turned everything off. Just as I was ready to get on.
I've done that.
And I think, really? So when I did my show with Sue, I don't know how many people are noticing. I do a couple of these, and I never got in. And I thought, what is my friend never got in? I did the show by myself, and I'm thinking, it's getting hard, everybody. Oh my gosh! So
I
I
did
just turned everything off and just went.
I did a pre-recorded show that nobody in here knows about. I did a
Uh-huh.
pre-recorded show once, and I forgot to plug in the laptop. And we're
Oh
doing
my gosh!
the laptop starts dimming, and I'm
Starts
trying to
what?
why, right? So
I
we're
missed
getting,
that word. I didn't hear that one word. It started to do what? The laptop did what?
the screen starts to dim. You're trying to figure out what the hell's going on, right? And I'm doing this,
It's
and the
going
guy
on sleep mode.
I'm interviewing, it's like, what's weird when you're on the other side of the camera, because they're looking around. You're leaning forward like this, looking to see what they're looking at, and you can't
Right?
see it, right?
I
So this is
know it,
what he's
right?
doing. He's doing this, trying to see what I'm looking at. And so it dawned on me just before the computer died. I had about like 3% left when it dawned on me that it wasn't unplugged. That wasn't plugged in.
Oh, so it was running out of battery?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
oh,
it was slowly fading on me, and I thought, what is wrong with the screen? Is it changing settings or something? But yeah,
I love
how
this
embarrassing.
stuff. You just do what you can. I'm sorry. And I want to show everybody I did find a cup. I have the Christmas things away, but I lived where there was snow. And now that I've moved off the mountain, this doesn't, but it's still Christmas. I mean, everybody says you get Christmas stuff out too early. I says, it's a day after Thanksgiving. It is official.
Think about this: is that even though we don't have snow in our neck of the woods, it
Right.
gets too cold to snow here. So it may be down in the 20s or 30s, but it will not snow here, very, very rarely. But it's too bloody cold. The snow will freeze before it hits the ground.
I-
That's what
Well,
happens
then
here.
it's slate or slush or
I don't know what to
I
call it,
didn't know that.
but it's
Well,
always
I'm a
been
little
that
higher
way.
elevation than you.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's always been that way in Sacramento. It is too cold to snow here.
I guess I just learned something. I got a
That's what I
sweater behind me,
realized.
everybody. I'm trying to fess with this a
Just
minute.
like when I was up in Montague, like you were up there,
Mm,
I never
Yep,
saw
yep.
and my dad, the name of the ice up there, Horror's ice.
What was it called?
Horror's ice. You know that
Oh,
ice that was that
HORSE?
WHORSE.
Oh,
Horror's ice.
I never
And
heard of that.
I was out taking photos of it because it's really cool the way it forms. Well, you've seen it up there, the way it forms on the grass.
Yeah.
And that's what because my dad came from Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he knew the name, and he's the one that told me, and I was like, I can't put that on Facebook. But yeah, it's horse
Remember,
ice.
you were a lot lower elevation than I was up on the
Yeah,
mountain. I was
yeah.
3,000 feet, which I wasn't aware of until I thought it was about 24, 25, and someone said, oh no, you're about 28, 29, almost 3,000 feet. I says, well, that's a couple hundred difference, but that's how they measure things up there. And I went, no wonder we had so much snow.
Oh yeah.
That was the side I was on anyway.
I
So,
got my first white Christmas up there. You know.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. We drove
That's
up
too
in a
bad you had to
snowstorm.
sell that place. I'm sorry.
I know it sucks.
I know it
We
sucks.
drove we drove up in a snowstorm one time on Christmas Eve just to
Oh,
get up there.
yeah.
We had a
Well,
white
not
Christmas.
everybody knows that you were floating everything after both your parents died, so
Yeah,
it
so I
had to
mean
go.
that had to go.
Yeah.
It had to go.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
loved it up there because we had that view of the mountain from the deck.
Yeah. Oh, excuse
Yeah, we
me.
had
Me
that view
too.
of Mount Shasta from the back deck. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah. So
Really
did
cool.
I, and I got a hair now. What's wrong with me tonight, everybody?
Very inspired.
Uh, it was gorgeous up there. I really, you get a home like that and you think, well, why would you ever move? Well, life changes.
Yep.
I had to
Yep.
come down.
Yep.
But anyway, we've got This is part 2 of talking to spirits, and there's
Mhm.
a couple things I didn't cover last time and a few more this time, and if we don't finish, then it's gonna continue because I probably will not run out of spirits, ghost, um, and it's curious, not interesting, because I say it too often. I would say half my clients are talking to me about spirit messages or ghosts. Not so much ghosts like in bothering them, but ghosts in general, which is kind of curious. I have to reword that. Ghost implies someone is stuck doing a loop, or this. Now I got the other one here. Um, so the other one's up on the tabletop. He's the one that walks around and gets on top of everything right here. People say, why not close the door? Well, just stops the flow of um, the heating, and it's a longhouse, but so anyway, he's a darling. Anyway, most people call me about emergency stuff happening in life right now, the psychic side of me. But I don't regret that. I love it because I'm helping people survive their stuff. But one of the sides of me that I really enjoy is spirit communication, ghost investigation, SHAR, and a couple other groups. And over the years, I think it was giving me the ultimate proof. Talking to people who have near death experiences is another really amazing. They'll call me up and say, well, I had this experience. And I want to add to that spirit communication during your sleep time. I could probably do a show on that. How many people have had, well, I could talk about it right this second. People say, oh, I had the strangest dream. I had my mother, my grandmother, my son, on and on visit me. And then if I can describe the person or the situation, and they go, well, how can you do that? I said, curious, there's that word again, right? Amazingly, if I can see your dream, then it's not a dream, it's an actual visitation. If I can't see it, it's an emotional dream of wishing you could talk to them or unfinished business or ask for help or whatever. Oh, I just blinked. Was that your side of the shop or mine?
I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't know.
I think it was yours. I didn't see you blink, so it had to be your end.
Oh, you didn't?
You
Oh,
froze. You
great.
froze on my end for half a second.
For just a blip.
Yeah.
Um, so
Just stay
here
on.
where I am now is 5G in Oroville. So it's actually better than what I had up there in Hornbrook. Up there it
I've
was
only got 4G. I'm jealous.
4G, and then it wasn't always guaranteed. You're lucky you get out and make a call. So anyway, um, I know I had a story I wanted to talk about. Okay, that's the cat jumping down. Um, and then I'm trying to figure out how to start this because, turning off the machine turned off my notes. I had 3 pages here in front of me. I love this stuff. Oh gosh. Anyway, I have been able to, through Shar a couple of times, talked about you having whomever is standing next to you. I did this on another show too, and it was very successful. People ask me, how is it possible? And I spirit people are with us all the time. Rarely do I get an angel level or what we call a guardian angel. And I'm not positive I know, but it seems like spirit people show up because they want to. And so last week and the week before, this young lady did give me permission to talk about the session she had with me, and she sent me some validation here. And so I'm going to read it really quick. Hope not. It's hard when people want to read to me because I'm listening to the words and I sometimes forget the content. But I wanted to
Mm.
share with you this is a spirit visitation. And to encapsulate it real quickly, I saw she's been a recurring client of mine for a long time and maybe 6 years ago, and you'll have to get back to me on this because I told her what night we've been talking about it, and over time, and she's with this gentleman. She's been with him now 11 to 12 years, and I told her, I said there'd be 4 years of conflict. After the 4 years, he may be back, and I meant it with sincerity. But I can't remember. I told her it'd be a lot of conflict and issues. And so she called me and set it up a time. She says, I've been through 2 years of conflict. And then I remember you telling me that. And I went back and found the reading. And she told me that the young
Mhm.
man had had cancer, lost his job. And in the last couple of years, he's lost 3 family members.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So he's had a tremendous amount of loss. And how would I know in a reading what it would be? So in some ways, when I get information, its interpretation of information makes us good or not so good at what we do. And I can only tell you that I'm very analytical. I get what I get, and that's what I say. And I do want to answer a couple things. Um, that's the last page. I want to make sure I do. So this is part of what we talked about. So I encapsulated something really quick here. She wrote this, I've been pondering the older gentleman you saw around me, and I believe it is Joe's dad, Bill. I've substituted these names. Bill passed before Joe and I were together, and I never really got to meet him. Joe always said he would have liked me because I saw this old man around her, and I had very caring, loving feeling toward her. According to Joe, his height was 5'10" to 5'11", but he would always claim to be taller. Joe said he had hazel eyes. Remember, these are the things I have told her. I know from photos at the end of his life that he did have age spots on his hands, and I believe you correctly described his build. Bill, like Joe, went through a time of great depression when he lost his job after he was over 40 and probably over 50. It took him some time, and then he created his own new career in his own business. She's now talking about the deceased dad. He was always a salesman. I believe that he went through losing his job, which was his identity and pride, and how he relates to what Joe has been experiencing. The only thing she didn't bring up is I saw very gnarly hands, and gnarly hands comes with someone who uses their hands a lot. He was medium to larger bone. He did want me to think that he had light eyes. Hazel and blue are very, very similar. And then he turned his face, and I'm I'm a lot. I was outdoors a lot. I ran a lot. Was on horses, forever as a kid and running. And I've had age spots. Gentlemen that lose their hair can get age spots anywhere. And so he wanted me to see all that, and she's telling me this. And I really love that validation when you get a reading from me if things come to pass. I think it just keeps us psychics, mediums, kind of keeps going. So that isn't only why I brought it up. It's not wow, wow, but the interpretation of information is what we're talking about tonight. When I saw him, he came in very sharp and very clear, and I went, "Oh, you got this man here." And first thing she said was, "You've described my husband." I says, "Well, how would I know I described your husband? This is a dead man, by the way." And even though this husband has left and is living somewhere else, she did call him and she asked him what his dad looked like. Um, but what I want to get to here is that evening, and this is when it gets kind of, he shows up in my bathroom while I'm brushing my teeth. And I go, oh my. And I don't know that he come in. I had one lady say to me, well, Nancy, you were wrong. You're the man you said was 5'11". This man's only 5'10". I says, you're thinking I'm wrong when I'm seeing a spirit man and I'm trying to get his height? At what point is there a measuring tape there? Well, I'm 5'4", so anybody over 5'9" and 10 is really tall to me. So he said to me, and he was very, very sweet. He kind of blended with me just a little bit, that kind of gooses me a little bit. And he felt like warm, wet, brown sugar, the feeling like that. And I have to tell people I do feel things like that. And he pleaded with me. He says, would you please tell her to forgive him? Oh, I got goosebumps. And of course, I had to come out here to the office and I typed something up. I didn't want to call her and tell her because I missed that. I missed that. Please forgive him. What I got from him was this warm, um, loving feeling toward him. And you women know when you have a child, little girl, you put light purples and violets and all those, and it's a loving color. Well, for me, the night he showed up, he was giving me all these soft, loving colors around her, like enveloping her. And I really took it that he was caring. But if he said to me in any of that, tell her to forgive him, I didn't get it. So he had to show up in the nighttime. So then I wrote back something else. So the realization how much you do care for him and to enjoy life with him is the gift here. Meaning she wanted to uh, know why they were together for all this turmoil. Only God knows the day and hour, and I can give you an approximate big event coming. God is in charge. If we know the future, we can change it. We can't push it out, and we cannot change it. As with you, I can feel old, so you are meant to experience old age. She brought that up. Just a fact, perhaps to explore you as a woman, independent woman, and what that offers you. Rejoice in awakening each morning and sharing a beautiful morning when he comes back together. And I was trying to give her a broader picture that we don't control what I wish we could. What people go through, we can't control that. He was dealing with some real depression. Um, and in some ways, the spirit people are always around us. If it's the partner that's leaving, if it's our family, they're encourage you to love yourself also, but to forgive them. And that was the message here was even though we were talking about her and what she was going to do, and if he would come back, the man was saying, please forgive him. Now, why would you I mention that? As I do believe that what we speak to the universe does get back to the person. If I sit here and I'm hating, 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 what is that individual I'm putting that energy to thinking and feeling from me? What if I said, I forgive you, and with compassion, I forgive you again? If you keep saying that, you're forgiving them for the turmoil and the anxiety and the stress that's going through. It's not always in his control that he had cancer, that he lost his job, and that family members have died. We have to forgive because we also need to go on. And that was the message he was giving is please forgive him. And I felt it with such strength that I really wanted to share that with you. Um, so now I would like to go on to the notes, everybody. And that was a reading about a week ago. And what a lovely couple. I did get permission to talk about the situation, but I did not tell you any name. I think it would be very difficult for you to find her. Okay. Um, I would like to just address visiting spirits, family, and how to talk, interpret what they have to say. Um, okay, so I did talk about the lady who came in recently. Um, I brought this up because I have so many stories in my mind, but I wanted to share another one. I lived in Sierra Vista at this time, and I had two stories from there, and I shared one of them with you already. This young girl, dad lived in New York, and the mom lived here, California, and Southern California, and she went to visit dad and killed herself while she was there. And of course, being an only child, um, it was devastating and it was terrible. I'm not going to tell you how. It doesn't matter. And the mother called me and we were get information. And then one day I got out of the shower and um, I was out of the shower and I was sitting down. And the girl walks in with her grandmother. And I go, and they didn't open the door, but I had the feeling they were opening the door to kind of look in. And then they came in, and I went because I had seen a picture of her, and I was just flabbergasted because I wasn't dressed. You know, women were so vain, right? And I says, "What are you doing here? Can I at least get out of the bathroom?" And she said, "I came to meet you because you're talking to mom." Okay. Um, I still would like to talk to you later. And she says, tell her I'm with grandma and she's taking care of me. Well, kind of looked like a grandmother. I got the physical description and what I would tell that woman, the client. And so when she left, I had this feeling she didn't like me. And I went, well, if you're going to see me getting out of the shower, I mean, that's not fair. At least let me comb my hair. I just washed it and everything. Pretty raw, just. And then the woman calls me, the client, within a few hours. And she said to me, my daughter has just come and visited me. And I go, really? And she says she saw you and likes you and she wants me to continue talking to you. Well, that's not the message I got. I got that feeling you ever meet somebody go, like this? Well, I think the minute they locked out of the bathroom. The grandma said, "She's a nice lady. Listen, you're going to tell your mother something different." And so I told the mom, I said, "Crazy, but I was in the bathroom when your daughter showed up with her grandmother," and I gave the visual description, kind of like an Eleanor Roosevelt body shape as she got older. And so, um, and mother said to me, "Oh my God, that's the best news you ever got. You could give me. You gave more proof than I ever could ever get." And I says, "What are you talking about?" She says, "Well, she was into goth. She would spend 4 or 5 hours a day before she went anywhere, putting all the jewelry on and all the makeup and the clothing. I wouldn't see her for 4 to 5 hours." So for her to show up in the bathroom with me was the message, because I
Mhm.
wouldn't have been able to know that. Misinterpret of information. I don't think I did, but I think the grandmother set us straight. Oh, wait a minute here. You can't do that. The other one was in Tombstone, Arizona, and this was a really good message. It was hard for the girl. I talked to a lot of the military people there. They have a base there, just like most places. And the woman had come in and she was in fatigues. And beside her walking in was a man who had been, um, he had lines all over his body, red, looked like he'd been blown up. So he was knitted back together, but the gaping wounds was everywhere. And uh, I looked at him, I was a little shocked, you know, and I said, "Oh, you're here because your friend died. Looks like he's got red marks all over him, like he got blown up." And of course, she didn't think I would do that, and it really startled her. And it's not the first time I've seen the wounds of death. So when I
Mhm.
bring up somebody from a car accident, uh, and I'll talk about these later, a youth that was fallen over a boat and got into the propellers underneath the boat, and it was a terrible thing if the father had to pull him out of the water. Um, so this man come in, and the girl didn't know if she wanted to talk to him, but she wanted to know he was okay. And I had to tell her something very, very difficult. I said, "He tells me to remember him as when you went for breakfast. And he says he sat across from you and you're laughing." And of course, I'm watching a movie. It's not like I'm just making this up. And she got very emotional. And then he didn't scold her, but he said something this way. He says, "You think of me only as," remember I said this once before, as damaged. He didn't use the word damage,
Mhm.
but blown up or some other word. And he says, "You got to stop doing that because I can't be whole when I'm around you, because you're putting that energy of destroy. Think of me at breakfast and happy." And I saw her thinking about, like you sit and you think about it, you can watch someone's eyes kind of drift off. And in that instant, he was knitted back together and whole and not bleeding. So there's a couple messages here, because we get stuck in what we want to think about as a spirit person. In reality, they are responding uh, to signals from you. And it wasn't I with the girl that came in there, because I've had enough spirit people around. I think I was shocked and surprised they'd come into my bathroom. It wasn't the first time, but it was the first time out of the shower. But I got from her this, ooh, and maybe I don't, not young like her mother, whatever. But it's been 10 years, in my early 60s, so it wasn't like terrible. But in reality, they can have a conversation. They went to the mother, and then I gave her validation. So there's many multiple ways you can hear a story, trying to weave a story telling you people, because I got notes over here and I don't want to lose them. Um,
Mhm.
um, and the last story I want to give you for you that are studying how to become people like me, um, a psychic or practicing psychic or medium. You can do both like I do. It's very easy. There's an expression I use over and over and over, and it's never harm another soul. I keep that in my mind so much. And it goes back to a story that I will tell you, of which I regret. It was very early. I started in 90. And within 6 months to a year, I would say a year, the other metaphysical stores in the area started having these psychic fairs, because they were finding other people like me that want to participate and do this. And Sylvia Brown started the movement. It's like she had been in business almost 10 years before I made the scene. But I was kind of the wacky one, the new on the like, "Oh my God, have you talked to that Nancy person?" So it was really fun. And I was invited to a metaphysical store on Fulton, and across street was well, Fair Oaks Boulevard was nearby. I can't remember Cottage or something. And they were talking about the little boy who had died. He, if I remember right, see my eyes wandering, trying to think of how old he was. 3, maybe 3-ish, 4. You know, it's a terrible thing for a parent to go through. And they asked me what was happening, and I said, "Oh, clearly he was greeted by a grandmother who took him," and I gave a description, and they knew who it was. She was sitting in a rocking chair, embracing him to her bosom,
Hmm.
and of course, that to me sounded really great. The downside is, I said, he was crying, softly crying. I didn't think it would have a negative reaction to her, but that he was crying made her weep. So I'm going to tell people from this point on, never harm another soul. And I've regretted it because at the time I thought, well, why is she crying? I've told her the boy's fine. Great grandma's probably taking care of him really well. But I look back and I realize that the crying wasn't what she wanted to hear. She wanted to hear that he was happy. And what he was doing, he was being nurtured and taken care of as in a recovery episode. So I'm not sure I know what he died from. It wasn't sudden. It must have been some kind of illness because I see that recovery taken longer with kids who are and people who need to be in a recovery episode. Believe it or not, car accident people, they just walk up around, what the fuck? What happened here? What happened here? So sometimes people you would think need recovery, it's someone who was sick for a while or a child. Sometimes it takes a long time. I really, really wanted to share that with people.
I want to kind of jump back on something you said earlier about not knowing size, tallness and things like that. I was on a case in Vacaville or Vallejo, and this woman's son had died back in the 70s, and psychic was there, and the psychic clearly saw the little boy, did the description, and the woman said, "Well, you're wrong."
Mm.
And I don't remember who the psychic of record was on that one.
Don't
And
say her name if you did know. That's not.
I don't know who, I can't remember who it was. And I got irritated. I don't get irritated very often with clients. You try not
Oh,
to, because
yeah.
it's tremendous loss
They're
for them.
grieving.
But the way she came at us was like as if to say, "Why didn't you recognize it?" I think because she was describing, she says, "That's not the kind of clothes he wore. He
Uh-oh.
wore clothes from the 70s, and you got it wrong."
Uh-oh. Remember I said last time we have to honor generational
Yeah, and the
differences. Yeah.
psychic said, "Well, I see him in shorts, and he's in this striped shirt." So I'm thinking the 60s. No, he was here in the 70s. You're wrong.
Oh,
And I
anyway,
remember
what
looking
happened?
at the lady real calm. I remember looking at the lady real calm, and I said, "I understand." I said, "But you got to remember, this lady is not a fashionista. She's not a clothing designer, so she doesn't know about stuff like that." Because a lot of us kids back in we had parents that were like from this, from that era. Like my dad used to buy all my clothes from Sears in boxes. So I had all those funky looking shorts, with the striped shirts.
Yeah.
So if this is what she saw, then yeah, that was the late 60s, early 70s stuff. So she probably thought it was the 60s, and so yeah, and that's the one thing. Like with Nancy not being able to tell the height, see that goes along in that line. Nancy's not going to know by looking at some kid in a pair of cut off jeans and a striped shirt whether he's from the 70s, 60s, or 80s.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes we can, but not a child. It's
Yeah.
really hard to tell. Now, if I see a child from the turn of the century,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Well, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
saw a spirit child outside. He was had a. I brought this up one time. I was doing an investigation of a house, and I saw the person in the house. It was a, a, a child and an adult woman, but it was a noise outside that really bothered me. It was a young man, a kid, I would say between 10 and 12. He had a big
Hmm.
stick and he was running up and down the sidewalk. and other people had heard that funny noise. Now, he had cut off pants because at turn of century, that's what they did wear. In fact, I see him as
Right.
blue with a white shirt, which was very common in those years. But we also have generations up to the 40s and 50s. I have pictures of my first husband in that time frame wearing shorts also. So
Hmm.
it kind of comes and goes. So it's really hard. Um,
Yeah.
People say I'm pretty close. I can tell the difference between 5'9" and 6 foot. Sometimes a
Hmm.
5'9", 10 or 11. Well, give me a break, you know. If I have to look up real tall, if I'm eye level with the lady or not, if I have to look up, that person's tall. If I look down, the person is shorter. You know, we all
And
have
I
little
can add to
gimmicks to try to go ahead.
what you said before too about seeing somebody as they what they look like when they died. There was a
That is up
case
to the, yeah. Mhm.
in Murphy's at the Murphy's motorcycle shop. I don't think the same people own it anymore. And he had gotten killed by a backhoe.
Ooh, oh,
And so the unfortunate thing is when she would see him in her dreams and see him walking around the building, that's what he looked like, was that state that he had been after he got nailed with the backhoe.
so
She
she saw
wasn't
him
releasing
damaged.
that.
Oh,
That was a Trish case, and Trish went out there and talked with her and got her to rethink it all. And then she started to see him, as he was when they got
healthy.
married.
Yeah.
Yeah, real healthy. But for the longest time, she would see him as what he looked like when after after that accident.
And that's because that's how she remembered him.
Hmm.
The last memory. It's very difficult. That's only really happened to me a half a dozen times, at
Hmm.
the very most, 5 or 6 times. I can actually, 1, 2, 3, 5 or 6 times, and I don't know why I can remember. It must be others' cases if they are, I can't remember at the moment, but I can
What I thought was
appreciate that.
interesting with my mother was that I actually watched her de-age after she passed.
Oh, 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 I love that.
When she started, like within 2 days of her passing, and she came back, she already now has started to get salt and pepper hair.
Yeah,
So every time I saw her, she was de-aging to the point where she was when I was in high school. She had her black hair, and she looked like my mother.
there's something to be said about how people remember us. If we're
Hmm.
lucky enough to grow old and our face is changing, I can see a lot of changes. I'm in mid-70s now,
Hmm.
and it's fast, goes on fast. Why would I want this look? Well, my
Hmm.
granddaughter is adult, she may remember me as I look now,
Right. If
but
that's all she
why?
remembers, yeah.
But I remember being 29 and I had a couple of kids, and I remember thinking how I was dressed one day going somewhere in my Volkswagen and thinking that this age will never happen again. It's probably the best look I ever had. And I do remember saying that. And so why wouldn't I want to go back? And I've always been an athlete, so I look pretty good for, you know, why would I want to be old? Well, it depends on who's going to remember you.
Right. I was just going to ask
Now,
a question about that. Now,
what?
when I die or anybody else dies, and say their mother comes to greet them, are they going to see their mother as they were when they were old, or does the mother greet them fully refreshed?
Uh, this is curious. So my mother showed up 3 different times after she died where I could see her. And so
Hmm.
when I was given I did some conferences in Sierra Vista, had past life regression work, and I did a couple of these classes.
Hmm.
Um, and she was up on stage with me once, and she clearly looked like early 20s. My mom was really pretty, black, Indian, American Indian look, but she had the body and the skin tone of the English, Irish, Scotch, but her hair was almost black, and her eyes were just gorgeous, and eyelashes out to here. Um, this is going to sound really creepy. No, I'll go. So Larry and I were driving somewhere. Mom loved to get in the car and go when she was alive and do things. And all of a sudden she popped her head between the seats and had a scream. And she did look older than 20, but not as old as when she left. I would say she was 50 or 60 years old.
Hmm.
But so don't think me crazy here. I do this. I saw my passing. And when I see who's going to greet me, it's my mother. And remember, my father died when I was 6. He's standing in the back. but I see my mother bending and getting me, and she's got light colored clothes on, and she looks not as old as when she died, but I think her best years were 60 to 65-ish. I think
Okay.
she had a happy time. She has a skirt on and she has light colored clothing. But I clearly remember her because I remember her all my life until she passed
Hmm.
away. Now, my her mother, I didn't get to see too often. You know, you're raising kids, you're running around, and I saw her often, but only as an old person. If she were to come greet me, she would have to show up old because she showed up young. I wouldn't know who she is, though she
Right.
looked like.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering and thinking because if they come to greet you and you don't know what the heck they look like, what good is it going to do? So I would
Right,
think that they come to greet you in whatever form that you recognize them the best in.
right. I've had people. So when I describe somebody who's greeting, actually, that did happen.
Hmm.
um, just recently, was, I don't know if it was your friend's brother, but I was describing somebody and they said, "Oh," I said, "Well, that's probably what they remember them at that time."
Hmm.
Was that you or some,
I
anyway,
think
I'm
it was.
trying to
I think it
remember.
was. Yeah.
It
I
was
think it was.
somebody that he knew, but only at the time at that age. So even though
Hmm.
that person died later, he showed up the age that person would recognize him.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
that happened
Okay.
some other time too. A gentleman died, and when he died, someone showed up young in a military uniform that made me think maybe he died in the military. And he was a
Right.
stocky hair. So anybody, let me know who I'm talking about if it was you. A stocky man with a thicker body, like a youth. 20
Hmm.
something. His face was solid, and he had really dark hair, but it was really short. And I said, "Oh, was your parent, his father, was he in the military?" And I said, "How about the dark uniform?" "Oh, yeah, yeah." I said, "Well, there's a man who showed up looking in the military with the dark uniform on. Was that you also, Shar? Was
I
that
don't think so.
okay? It was
I'll
somebody
put it in
else."
the chat room. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that that does happen that way. Like I
Right.
said, my granddaughter would not know me any other way but older.
Right.
So who,
Right. Right.
who would
Right.
I show up younger? Well, maybe my sister or
Right.
someone who knew me at that age.
Someone like that who knew you at that age. Yeah. Well, that's what I was
Hmm.
wondering. Anyway, back on topic. Just wondering.
Oh, where we change it. Okay, so this is we talked last time how to speak to people. And I've always said, be gentle, be sincere, be compassionate. Speak small words, not large words. It's not like they couldn't have a college education. But if they're a spirit, maybe they would understand. But if they have any confusion, if they're not quite solid in who they are, you have to talk in language that gets their attention. So I have a friend, and I love her. She talks and she's got a couple of degrees, and she likes using $1.50 words. And I said, most readers in America, books are written now at eighth grade level or less. And that's because we want to read fast and not hung up over a word. We have to look up in the dictionary. Spirits are even worse than that. They want very simple language. And if I've learned anything at all, just I had this one lady, I was talking to her about talking to her deceased family member. She wanted And I says, sit at the kitchen table, relax, relax, and to get to know if she's live by herself, get to know what the air feels like in the room. Don't have the air conditioning heating on. Just sit and relax, maybe 15, 20 minutes every night. And then when you get really knowing the atmosphere, when you feel a shift after calling that person, you'll feel the air come in thicker or push you or a breeze. It's different when you don't have a window open. And I did write a poem about my mother um, coming in, and then I realized and it's a big bit. It's on my website somewhere, and it's like I was sitting there for a little bit, and I called my mother just because I wanted. She had been gone not too long, and I felt this breeze on my arm, and I thought, huh, because I've been getting cemetery tours, and it's a totally, and I kept getting it, and then I realized air conditioning and heating wasn't on, but the window was not open. And I thought it had been. So it was her trying to get my attention. Like, are you Nancy? So with this next section, I want you to keep the same idea. Like if you come across somebody you feel is scary, insane, like an investigation, or you have someone in the
Mhm.
house and you don't know if it's poltergeist activity caused by someone in the family, You want to make sure that you talk in a language that's very soft, simple words, and not a bunch. So that, like this said, I told this friend, she was sitting and she says, well, I had written out some thoughts and I just read the whole page to him. And I said, and how would you know he was going to answer any of them? Because you gave him so many questions. She had to start over. She's asked him to come back, and then she made, are you happy? At what age are you? She kept trying to get answers. And you can get the answers just like we can. If you let Shar and I start laughing, what does that feel like? If I get angry, what does that feel like? If I get sad, what does that feel like? So you get a lot of emotion. If someone's happy, they're going to give you happy, contentment, satisfied. Those have emotional feelings with them. Um, so when someone is sick with dementia, believe it or not, they don't go over, and 10 seconds later they can think clearly. Not always. And it's not like they want to keep that, but it's like they'll have forgotten for a while what it feels like not to have it. And so with that, I want you to be simple and like maybe it's only been a week and you want some kind of confirmation. Give them benefit of doubt that they're better, but talk to them as if they're not. And I have a lot of clientele who having senior partners going through stuff like that, so I'm full of how to dos. But at the same time, I want to only spend a few minutes with that. Um, make sure they're not insane. Meaning you don't want to talk to somebody that was a relative and they were like that, right? Doesn't make them a ghost, but they may have a higher recovery time. And I do appreciate, understand people do have depression, especially after COVID. I do understand that life has been hard because of loss of 07, 08, 09, the recession that we had. I lost a couple houses. It was really hard. So if someone dies shortly after that, what emotional state are they in? Again, um, do you know if they're insane or do you know they're in discord? How would you talk to someone who has died but had dementia or Alzheimer's? Simple, soft, and sincere. Whisper if possible. So I'm talking a normal voice, and I apologize. The voice has kind of been used a little bit here lately. Um, I took a lot of courses when I was a supervisor, but also service rep. I took courses that to get someone's attention, you whisper. You don't yell. If you have a discord with your partner and you're just yelling about something crazy and you got tired of arguing, what you want to do is lower your voice and they have to stop yelling to be able to hear you better. Big, big, good thing. It's really great. So sometimes simple, soft, and sincere is a way to talk to your relatives. Whisper if possible if you don't know what kind of emotional state, because they will come closer. If aggressive, hold up the hand as in stop. A lot of people just mouth and talk, but hand gestures are huge. Sometimes come closer. They understand that, especially if they're stuck in a foreign language. Come a little closer. I want to hear you. If you feel aggressiveness towards you, you go stop. Spirit people know what that is. Hello. Yes, they do. And you have to be able to assert your power. As in people who have candles in the home and they wish the candle to help them in their discord. So you've seen prayer candles. It's not the candle that does it. It's your emotional belief that this is working. So you put out there the emotional energy for something to happen. A prayer. Absolutely it works. The candle is your focal point. So spirit people can feel the same thing. And so you want them to calm down or stop, then you put your hands up. Even if they're aggressive, they will get that. You have to believe that you have control over the situation. So um, remember, we're talking about understanding scary ghosts and situations. Last week, and the week before, we've been talking about other situations. So I wanted to make sure you understood that if you feel uncomfortable in a situation and there is ghost about, I want you to stand your ground. I want you to believe that you're in power and you're in control because you're the one wearing the meat jacket, this flesh, right? They're the ones that don't know really where they are.
Oh, we lost her. All
Me,
right, wait for you. Are you there? Okay, we'll wait for you to get back on here. Interesting discussion.
Yeah.
And a lot of what she says, I've encountered out on investigations that I've done with my team. A lot
Still
of it.
here. It's I can
Yeah,
scream or
the audio's gone bad, so maybe you might want to come out, go out and come back in. If you can hear me, maybe you might want to bug out. Well, I'm gonna try and do this. Let's see if I can get you to come out and come back in. Hang on. I'm gonna take you off. There we go.
we're rebooting everybody.
So hang on. Okay. Why don't you try to come out yourself and come back in?
I'm showing that it's trouble can from caused by your Wi-Fi try plugging to your router to do it. Oh my goodness,
So
get
something happened.
concerned
Everybody and their
here.
brother's online.
Uh,
Okay, guys, I'm
you
gonna
know,
try something.
it's
Just
like
hang in there, Nancy. Hang on
we are
1 second.
wounded,
Don't anybody
at
move. I'm
least.
gonna try and bug out and come back in. So I'm leaving the page.
Shar is gone. Shar. Okay, I don't know if you're hearing me. Somebody let me know.
I'm here. Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, I just
Can you
rebooted.
hear me? You
Yeah,
rebooted?
I
Okay.
rebooted back in. Yeah. I tell
Mm,
you, something's
just
going. What's going on with the news today? Because everybody, it's because it's the holiday too. Everybody and their brother's on, and that's the problem.
I think the Wizard of Oz is on tonight.
Oh, maybe that's the deal. Because my
Mhm.
Xfinity, like clockwork, when there's something going on, boom, 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 here we are.
If there's I have not watched the web news or anything today,
Yeah, I haven't
so
either,
I've
so I
been
don't know if there's anything hot happening in the news or what's going
I
on.
do
But yeah, that usually happens on high internet usage days.
well,
So
let me talking I did ask Marissa and Susan, um, if they did if they could get in. I don't know. Let me just keep going. I hope this is all being recorded. So I
yeah,
wanted to share with you what I was simple, soft, and secure, sincere
hmm
rather. Aggressive, hold up your hands. Power is yours, and they will respond positively. The other thing I want to talk about is ask to let you see anything about them that meant something to them in their past life.
hmm
Sports outfit. If you're psychic, if you're medium, and you want them off, get that away from that scary or aggressive feeling. Say, were you in sports? Were you in soccer or football? Were you in girls stuff? Anything, tennis, swimming? Because that will remind them of something positive. Sometimes people go on a railroad track, blah, 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 and they get stuck in that loop. Anytime you
hmm
can mention something different about their life, this is
hmm
crazy. In 32 years, I know this is crazy. Apple pie, cherry pie, spaghetti, and garlic bread. Uh, you would be and coffee. I mean, I don't eat pies. Never, ever. I mean, it's not anything I would think of. I don't eat spaghetti, but I do like garlic bread. So for
hmm
them, people to bring that up as much as they do, I'm actually kind of surprised. So asking them what favorite food they have when they're in discord or unhappy. Did you like in French? Like I said, French bread. Oh, a lot of garlic and salt. Oh man, a lot of fresh bread.
hmm
And how about mom or grandma baked pies? Did you ever have a cherry pie or apple pie? What kind of food did you like? And what I'm talking about is getting them on track so you can have communication to find out who they are.
hmm
That's a visual for mediums. Hard to always hear, especially names. And it's almost like some people get names, but they don't get physical descriptions. Me, I don't get names. Do you know how many cultures I talk to? Hello. How about Parisian or Iraqian or not Iraqian? I don't know if people would say that to me, but Muslims, all the different names, Japanese, Chinese. I have Chinese clients. Email them. I have a couple of clients I talk. Just names I would never be able to come up with. So these people move to here and they say, "What's my future husband's name?" I go, "Really?" And the times I've talked to one culture, and I said, "Well, you're going to meet another culture. I don't date anybody that color." I go, "I can't help that. Give me his
Mhm.
name." I said, "Well, I'm telling you what they're going to look like." So it's kind of fun. That's anyway. So we want to get them off track. Have them talk about things that you think that you would like. Have see if they like them too. That's really and where I'm going with that is asked to let you see anything about them that meant something to them in their last life. Talked about it. Any kind of sports thing you can think of, a favorite car, so that you get a visual, or they act like they are talking to you. A favorite food they enjoy. A lot of people like food. If someone said, "What would be my favorite food?" Hard to. I don't like cooking and eating takes too much of my time. I do like um, garlic bread. But favorite thing would probably be coffee. So, and when you're talking about these things, what you're doing is you're waking them up because people get in a loop of unhappy and they get a loop of despondency. They get a loop in something's wrong. They get a loop
Mhm.
of, I can't remember. It seems like I should be doing something. And when you ask them nicely, whisper if it get out of control, back up, make them back up. Don't get too close
Mhm.
and make them think of it. Now, I'm not talking about children. We're going to talk about everybody else. Children's kind of whole different story. You have to tell them what was, remember mommy holding you. So you can't say that to a child. Remind them of the time. What time is it for you? What day is it? What year is it? What something that you knew the decade the house was built or a situation happened. If they seem insane, just say you don't have to act like that because you are here to help them. Don't act like that. Stop. I'm helping you. So think of the Red Cross or nurse or doctor. Think of those things really hard. Putting a bandage on them. Any way that they can feel compassion. Compassion's huge because if they think you're here to help them, they will go, oh, oh, do I need help? What's wrong with me? People want to know things like that. In the years I've done this, I am always amazed at the number of people that if you have an issue and you say, I need help, something's wrong, people will jump left and right to help you. Well, spirit people is no different. They are people. And the minute you guys get that and you act like they're people, they will respond to you very favorably. Um, in these 32 years, I got to keep reminding you, I've been here a lot of time. I have never been hurt by a spirit person. I have done a lot of remote viewing. If you don't think that they can attach you through space and time as well as I can talk to clients all around the world, hello. I've never seen that. These are insane people, and you have to get their attention. You have to be very careful. Now, I have knocked spirit people off, flesh people. Absolutely, you can do that because they will attach if you go someplace where there's a lot of them, like a sane asylum, or you go to where there's a mass murder. If there's someone insane there, they can latch onto you because they're desperate to find a help. And
Mhm.
sometimes you can't do it. You're not there to help them. You want to know what happened.
Mhm.
Do I like doing murders? No, I don't. I've been talking to people. Yes, I have. Am I right or wrong? I'm right more than I realize. It's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I want to do that. I was involved. Anyway, I won't go in that. Um, uh, say they have suffered. So if you get their attention and they know that you are sincere and that you mean well. You're not there to torment them or try to get them. You either ask for a picture if it's a child, it's a ball or something. You be compassionate, sincere, lower your voice, put your hands up, and they get the action that you're going to be there to help them. Then you say, you've been here a long time. Very compassionate, very sincere. I think you've been here long enough.
Mhm.
I want to say, I think you have suffered. Have you suffered? See how little my words are?
Mhm.
Have you suffered? And you don't know if they suffer or not. You want them to know that you think they have suffered. Because then they'll give, oh, yes, I have suffered, because they want to agree with you. You want them to wake up. Say they have suffered enough and look
Mhm.
around for something they've never noticed before. You're not going to say, look for mom or dad, because you don't know what's going to greet them. My friend I trust says, your big black dog's going to be there. I know exactly who that is, my running buddy. So it's not always, and I have stories of, oh my gosh, of things I've seen. So if someone were in a place of discord, that person would be there, would always be there, but they're invisible to the one who's in discord. So I say to them, "Don't you think you got them awakened?" Little Nancy. Yeah, yeah, long day. Um, just say, "Look around," and you can feel movement. Look around, look around. Little words, short words. See something different? And a lot of times they will, because being awake or awakened, then that spirit person or animal, whatever it is, French bread. Oh, someone showed me a skillet with homemade stew and potatoes and carrots. Whose Char, is that yours?
Not mine.
Oh, who's doing this to me? I see this great big iron skillet being held, and it's got roast beef, probably, with carrots and potatoes. Okay, right in the room, somebody. Whose relative is that? Um, look for something they never noticed before. Could be a parent, friend, pet. Tell them to walk toward that vision. And a lot of times, the closer they get, the brighter the vision, and then they'll see everybody else. So it's not like you greet them. You say, greet them, go there. You want them to get the attention to head that direction. And in essence, that's a rescue. So tonight was scary. Understand ghosts, scary stories, situations, misinterpreting what someone's going to tell you, making sure that you talk in simple language. Um, oh, get rid of that one. Um, we got X-rated on here. I don't know how to get
Oh
rid of that.
God, always, every time. There we
Well,
go.
I think that this individual must go on because I've recognized this before.
Yeah,
This.
he keeps
So
getting
these
his
are
account back.
they may be automatically doing this
Yeah,
because it's too often.
yeah.
Um, uh, okay, the last thing I would talk about, we've been an hour. How do they feel they are near? And I want to cover this, and then we'll let Shar close up the shop here. Um, Surprising reasons why they are around. That's pretty explanatory. Like I said, people want to be noticed. They want to be remembered. They want you to know they do care. If they have a message, they'll try to get it to you, even if I have to get it later on. How do they feel they are near? When I did the cemetery tours, it was a real eye opener to me that I could do this in the middle of winter, in the middle of summer, but it taught me also it doesn't matter. They are electricity and they have density. The idea is you have to be able to get them. So clearly, I can see them. So I would do these tours and I would make people put their hand in the air. Remember, in the kitchen, if you're sitting real still, what's the air feel like? And luckily, 90% of our were the tours. I don't know how many Shar went to. It was good weather. It was
Hmm.
amazing, even up to October 31st. I don't think we went to November, but as with this weather here, we've only had a few storms. So maybe into the fall, early winter, we got lucky. And so it would be no different than in the house. Feel the air, be calm. You don't have to meditate, you just have to sit still and be inquisitive in your mind. I wonder who's here to visit me. Softness. They will actually come up and brush against you to have you feel them. If they
Hmm.
go, oh, someone's coming, then you get this knockover feeling like, whoa, someone's in the room with me. When I drop my energy to feel them, I bump into them and I put energy to them. So when I do a reading to somebody, it's not like, oh, they all of a sudden show up and I can see them like a mannequin in the window. I have to put my life force through time and space, blend with the person, and then back out of that person to see their spirit people. How can I do that? I've always told you guys, even this age, I have a lot of energy. Yes, I get ill just like everybody else. The move killed me practically, and I'm still kind of like in recovery, but I still have more energy, and that's why. And that I'll say to them, show me your face, show me your eyes. But I have to give them some energy to do it. Protein, you know, don't overdo it, hurt your kidneys, but what you eat is important. There's a lot of foods I don't eat. So if possible, I do exercise. Been this way all my life though. So yes, feeling them when they're near. You can get a sad. Who's sad? Who was sad when they died? So you say that. Is this Uncle so and so? If you get yes, yes, then they're showing you that's what I was like when I left. I was sad. So I feel like that's really important. You don't need to leave out anything. Do you want to know what communication's like? If you don't have these skills, do automatic writing. Look
Hmm.
that up. Automatic writing, lots of pieces of paper. If you're right-handed, fingertips on one piece of paper. As you're pulling it, let your hand do the writing. In that yellow pages, let the fingers do the walking. And do loops from the shoulder, not from the elbow, not from the fingers. Make them, and then you'll be surprised if you keep doing that for a week or so. It'll be amazing. You'll be amazed to see words start forming. I've had a lot of success teaching people how to do that. I'm getting my hair in my eyes. Um, I think we covered it.
I think so.
7:35. We did good. Any
We did good.
questions in there? You did it. I covered a lot in this little bit of time, but
We did
that
good.
is
We
our
did good.
job here. Yeah, is
Yes.
to give an overview. And
Yes.
if you kids want me to talk about this again and again, or aspects of what I maybe didn't cover, you got to get a note to us because we're
Yeah.
trying to entertain you too. And so next week, I will talk to Shar. If I get a question from one of you in here, that gives me an idea where we're going, because we're just kind of winging it, enjoying what we're doing here. Yes, Shar and I will have to get together and do readings. Absolutely. Maybe we could do that like, I don't know, Christmas time or
Yeah. We'll
New
figure
Year's
that
or
out.
something.
The thing
Yeah.
is, the easiest way, if you guys, you can shoot me an email, but the easiest way is go to the YouTube page. Hang on a second, let me sit up here. I slunk in my chair. Um, go to the the California House YouTube page at I'm tired. YouTube forward slash youtube.com/ ampersand California Haunts Radio. Go over there and find the community page.
Oh, there you
If you
are.
find the community page, it's got a chat thing like Facebook does. It's got a message board.
Hmm.
So that would be the easiest way to get the message over to me to say, hey, I'd like to hear this topic. I'm interested
I
in
didn't.
this.
I will. So I have the same thing. Uh,
Hmm.
I know that she'll show up. I imagine I do have a community page at my channel,
Hmm.
Psychic Nancy Matz. Just find me, and I'll start looking. That would probably be a good idea.
Hmm.
If you can't find hers, you can find mine,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she'll put up my my sites
In fact, well,
for
I've got a
community.
poll going right now about what people want to hear. But when I
Mhm.
did the original poll, I forgot to add psychic talk. So I'm going to go ahead and change that poll around and throw a new poll out there, and you guys can
Yeah.
click on what you want because right now everybody's voting for cryptids and all this. But I forgot to put. It was kind of a test thing that I did, so I didn't think to put in to put these Friday shows in there, and
Oh,
so
thanks.
we're missing out on that part of the poll. So I'll go ahead and make a new poll tonight. And you can go over there and vote on what you guys want to hear, the kind of stuff you want to hear. And then there's the little chat thing available underneath to where you can like say, hey, yeah, I want to hear more psychic medium stuff, and I'd like to hear this,
Hmm.
down
Hmm.
below that. So we can do
Thank you,
that too.
Susan. And yes, I do. I think I really have fun doing this. Um, I don't know if I'm getting everything because it's like teaching a child how to walk. Well, you've been
Hmm.
walking a long time. You have to back it up and know what that feels like for to
Hmm.
go on their knees first. And so I try to slow it down and break it down. And anyway, I had fun again tonight. Shar, anything else? Oh, if you want
No,
me to talk to
no.
you, if you want readings, go to my site, nancymatz.com. I never think of
Okay.
that.
I will be
Okay,
back
kid.
Sunday reading our favorite book with all the gruesome Christmas stories in it. And Monday, William, I'll see if I can get this guy's name right. William, I'm not going to read it off my email because I write like a doctor. So when I look at my own writing, it's horrible. When I was a newspaper reporter, there it is. When I was a newspaper reporter, I had to I was one of these
Shorthand.
people that they hated. No, they hated because I had a digital recorder with me all the time, so I
Mm.
could hear the quotes. Because if I write it, it looks like a doctor's prescription.
I'm one of the shorthand, don't do shorthand anymore, but I was pretty good in high school. Was one of those
William
courses I took.
William Konkoleski will be with us,
Ooh,
and he is a member. He is a bigwig over at MUFON, and
move
we're
on.
going to be talking. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Great Lakes UFOs.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be our thing on Monday. But remember, we'll be here Sunday reading, of course. So don't forget that because that book's a humdinger. So yeah, I'm glad everybody came. I know it's a holiday weekend for a lot of people, and yeah, we enjoy doing this. We love doing this. And the good news about my internet is that this weekend I just got a new modem, so I'm going to have to make that change. I've been
Oh,
putting it
make that
off
change.
because, God forbid, I can't get it back up.
Oh,
I mean, that would
you got
suck.
lucky today.
I mean, I
Hmm.
would do it on my phone. You'd have me on a little tiny screen like this. But I mean, I just want to make sure that I'm able to get everything, up and working. But my modem, because right now the modem I have, I've signed up for a real high speed of internet, and the modem I have can't do that internet. So the new one can. So I'm going to be switching all that over.
I
But
just
yeah,
did that recently here, down
yeah,
here. Got brand new modem. That's like
yeah, yeah.
huge. Doesn't matter how fast your computer is if it can't go through the cord.
Oh yeah, probably a smoke coming off the top of this thing.
Oh
this poor,
gosh.
this poor little
Oh,
laptop. It's the little laptop that could.
yeah,
That's how
right.
this is.
Yeah, like the little
So anyway, I'm going to be doing that this weekend. So hopefully we'll get better quality stuff. I mean, like again, with the neighborhood being like it is, who knows with this thing?
They could
Who
be all
knows?
watching the Polar Expresses on tonight too.
Oh man, I can't even see that. I don't have the right cable. That sucks. I don't want to know. I love that movie. So yeah, so that's what's happening. And the psychic development classes, I have some makeup classes for people that I have to do. We're going to start getting back into those. I apologize. I got real busy doing interviewing potential I want to say subscribers, potential advertisers. And that took
Ooh.
took me away from doing that stuff, but we're going to start doing that stuff again.
Mhm.
Susan, the people that signed up for us, so I haven't forgotten about any of you. So it's all good. So don't think I forgot about you. But anyway, again, I hope you guys have a good next 2 days, and I encourage you to listen to the book. The book is really something. People freezing to death in wagons and all this other stuff going on, and yikes, there's just some yikes stories in there, but they're all true stories, supposedly. So whatever, right? It's all winter. It's
Another
all
good night. We had fun tonight,
yeah,
Shar.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna say goodbye, and I will see you on Sunday. And
Thank
so
you,
if you
Marissa. That was a sweet
Oh yes,
comment.
oh yes, here we go. If you like the show, I'm getting ahead of myself. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, of course, share it with 5 of your enemies. You know why? Because we are equal opportunity here at California Haunts Radio. So I mean, wouldn't that be great if you hate something? And what's the best thing to do? Pawn it off on somebody else. See, that's how I see it.
I hope you didn't hate the show.
But pawn it off on somebody else. And again, we are looking for subscribers. So if you're watching from YouTube and you see that little ghost in the bottom right hand corner, click on it and a little red thing will come up to subscribe. 450 videos sitting over there, and they're all different topics. And I think there's something in there for everybody. So check it out. We've got cryptid stories in there. We've got UFO stories in there. You name it. Mass murderers. Yeah, everything's there. Everything's over there. So there's probably something that you might that you or somebody in your family might be interested in. If you're listening from Facebook, hit that follow button and hit that like button because we're looking to build this up.
Yeah.
If you want to help me build up my Instagram, that would be great too. Ghosty Gal on Instagram, all lowercase, because I'm looking for followers over Instagram. How about TikTok? Are you on TikTok? If you're on TikTok, come on over to California Haunts and follow us over there because we have a bunch of different types of videos over there as well. Anyway, I want to thank you all, and I will see you Sunday night. Have a great Oh, I got to show you how to get a hold of Nancy first. I'm getting ahead of myself. What's up with that? So here's how you get a hold of Nancy, and I will see you Sunday night. So here we go.
Okay.
There we go. Websites, nancymatz.com, nancymatzauthor.com with the N-A, with the M, with the N-M-A all capped. And then you've got youtube.com/Nancy Matz Psychic. All right, the books are Help Get Me Out of This Funk. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills. And The Unwilling Sacrifice. That was my stomach.
I didn't. Sorry,
It's
Chris, I
not an
didn't ex-
EVP. Books at Amazon.com. Nope, it is not a ghost. It's no EVP.
I didn't hear anything. There was a noise. I didn't.
It's alien in my stomach trying to,
Does
trying
that
to.
mean you're hungry?
No, it means that I ate. That's it. Means
Oh
I'm a bubbling
God,
away.
I
Okay,
love
guys,
it.
I will see you on Sunday. Have a good evening.
All right,
Bye.
see you next.